Hey, do you want to start with the fact that the 49ers cut their only punter?
Well, first I want to open a
Oh,
ice
yeah.
cold Candlestick
Get
Chronicles
that in
Hazy
there.
IPA from Cooperage.
All right,
Cheers
once
to
it hits
you
your
and cheers
lips.
to all
Yeah,
the
salute.
YouTube
Oh, yeah.
subscribers, viewers.
Got my water here.
We're
Oh, my God.
final cut day.
Broke my microphone.
We're gonna we're gonna cheers everybody throughout the NFL who was on the wrong side of final cuts today. So, cheers to you.
Yeah, salute Thomas Morstead, one of the guys on the wrong sides of final cuts. No, it was funny watching the reaction to that. So if you missed it, the 49ers cut Thomas Morstead, the only punter on the roster. He's a 16-year NFL veteran. He is not subject to waivers, so he gets his outright release. He is an unrestricted free agent. The way this had to work, because of some of the weird numbers crunches the 49ers have because of injury and some of the question marks they have because of injury, they needed a roster spot, basically. So they let go of, and if I'm wrong on any of this, let me know. They let go of Thomas Morstead. Very much, I would be stunned, floored, shocked if there was not a conversation where they said, hey, Tommy, we're going to cut you, but we're bringing you back. It's procedural because we got to put Jacob Cowing or somebody on IR. So once we do that and clear a roster spot, we'll bring you back. It's not much harder than that. Like there was a weird reaction to this. Like, what are they doing? Like the procedural stuff that teams do every roster cut down.
Right. And Kyle Shanahan would always say the 53-man roster is just the first draft, right? It's not the final 53. There isn't really a final 53. The active roster is basically a living organism throughout the season. And given the new practice squad rules that have been implemented since the pandemic, there's more roster movement than ever before. There's more flexibility. You have more return designations from injured reserve than you've ever had, right? You have 8 of those throughout a whole season. You have 17-man practice squads. You have 4 guys on your practice squad each week that every Tuesday you protect from getting, snatched up by another team. Typically, before the new rules were implemented, teams could canvass practice squads around the league and just sign anybody they wanted to sign. That player would obviously need to sign with that team, but most players would take the promotion to an active roster. So there's just more movement now than ever, and there's more flexibility than ever. It's still not the most flexible system, but because of that, there are going to be some moves that on paper raise some eyebrows. Like, man, the Niners cut their roster down and they don't have a punter. Oh, no. Well, it's probably going to be because Jacob Cowing needs to go on injured reserve at some point.
Right.
But you want to have him on the active roster so you can give him the return designation and not end his season.
Right.
Right. So you want, Jordan Watkins might be a candidate.
Dominic
Gross
Puni.
Matos, Dominic Puni, we don't know. And the Niners are trying to save all of their return designations because you only get 8.
Right.
And if you're on IR, you don't take up a roster spot. You can return after missing 4 games. Like it's different than going on injured reserve and just your season, you not being able to play. Right. Which is the case if they go on IR before final cuts.
Unless
they're given the designation, which
you can
Kevin
do
Givens
2.
was given. Yeah.
And so the reason they didn't do that is because Jacob Cowing, the reason they didn't give Jacob Cowing a designation now is because maybe Jacob Cowing isn't ready to play this year. And they use a designation on a player who just never comes off IR, ostensibly giving them 7 designations instead of 8. But now they can place them on IR, and once you're on the 53-man and you go on IR, you don't have to get a designation until you're ready to come back.
Right.
Anyways.
Yeah. So to me, I think, I haven't really been up on social media today to see if there's hand wringing. It sounds like there has been a little bit of it, but
not a lot.
I think to me, okay. To me, what stands out is just the receiver situation, and
yeah, it's bleak.
It might very well be bleak. It also might be better than we think. It's just, I think whenever something is up in the air or uncertain, we tend to go, man, this is bad. And oftentimes or many times it is bad. There have been 9 trades throughout the NFL since Sunday, and none of them have been the 49ers acquiring a receiver. I know they were interested in Amari Cooper, but to me, and maybe this is just my view of it, I don't know that the Niners are operating like they're worried about having Jauan Jennings week 1. And I know there's a lot of discussion. I know Jennings has a practice. I know he has a calf injury. But I think if Jauan Jennings, and maybe, when this podcast comes out on Wednesday, maybe the 49ers will have traded for a receiver. Or another receiver in addition to Sky Moore.
According to Aaron Wilson, just real quick on that front, Aaron Wilson from KPRC2 in Houston, an NFL insider, according to a report from him, Marquez Valdes-Scantling is considering joining the 49ers or the Steelers. So maybe it's MVS.
Yeah, and that would make sense to me. Like, if you have Ricky Pearsall, Jauan Jennings, Sky Moore, and Russell Gage week 1, is that ideal? No, but I think you feel okay about that, given that you still have George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey, right? Like, you're going to be depending a lot on Ricky Pearsall, who looks like the team's de facto number 1 receiver right now, and Jauan Jennings, who's been, really reliable even last year under similar circumstances, not participating much in training camp with a calf injury, the same calf injury, and still having a productive season. So I guess all eyes are on Jennings. And if Jennings doesn't play week 1, then yeah, this might be a disaster scenario. But
I think
I just don't like, even Marquez Valdes-Scantling he's not coming in to replace Jauan Jennings. He's coming in to maybe be a 5th receiver or somebody on the back end of the roster. Like, they would have to make a big swing in a trade to get somebody who you feel comfortable, like, okay, this guy's replacing Jauan Jennings. So the fact that it doesn't sound like they're trying to make that swing, to me, would indicate that they're comfortable with the idea that Jauan Jennings is going to be available. And maybe I'm totally wrong on that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And maybe we see, like you said, like Russell Gage and Robbie Chosen were both released, but my thought is at least one, maybe both will be back on the practice squad, and at least one or maybe both will be active until Demarcus Robinson comes back. I don't think that would shock anybody. Or maybe they just re-sign outright to the 53-man roster once somebody goes on IR. Like, that's also a possibility. I think the consternation at wide receiver, though, comes from here. I'm going to just read this off. They kept 5 receivers. Jacob Cowing, likely going to IR. Jauan Jennings has been dealing with a quote-unquote calf injury. Sky Moore, not a particularly effective football player. Ricky Pearsall, and then Jordan Watkins, who's hurt. So of those 5, 2 are definitely available week 1, and one of them was just traded in a late round pick swap in 2027, who has 40 career catches in 3 years. And so I think your point is well taken, that Jauan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall is your top 2, and then you throw in a veteran as number 3. You feel okay about it. But it's like, okay, but what if Jennings isn't ready for week 1? And now all of a sudden you're rolling out Ricky Pearsall and either Sky Moore or Russell Gage as your top 2 receivers, and you're scratching and clawing to figure out a way to put together a receiving core, at least until Demarcus Robinson gets back. And that even sounds insane, because Demarcus Robinson is fine. And it feels like the Niners' entire offense rides on him getting unsuspended.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the first thing that caught my eye, is just the receiver situation. And no, I know, like, I don't know that Jauan Jennings is going to have as much leverage as he thinks he has. Sure. I know it looks like Jauan Jennings should have a lot of leverage, but it's very punitive to players to not play when they're under contract. I know he has a calf injury, But Jauan Jennings is going to have a hard time getting top dollar anywhere if he just decides to hold out. Like, he is not that type. He's not a superstar player who can do that. Right. So maybe they rework his contract. I know there's been talk about increasing his incentives. And if he hits those incentives, he can get closer to the neighborhood he's looking for in terms of money for the season. Maybe that's something that gets worked out. But I think at this point, like, Jauan Jennings doesn't have a whole lot of leverage, and his best shot at making a ton of money in the league is probably to have a kick-ass season and then hit free agency in the spring.
Hitting free agency in the spring after having an awesome year going into his age 29 season. He turned 28 in July. So he'll be 28 this entire year. He'll hit free agency as it will be 28 going on 29. If he has an awesome year, he's going to get paid. If he plays 10 games because he decided his calf just hurt too bad for him to play without a new contract, and he plays 10 games and he's just okay, the money's not going to be there, dog, when he goes to free agency. Like, it's just, teams are going to go, you're 29, you played 10 games, like, how good are you?
Right.
I think he's really good. I think Jauan Jennings is awesome. I understand why he wants more money, and I think he could get it if he plays a full season. Like, he's going to get the money he's looking for if he goes out and plays this year like he did last year.
He's legitimately, and this is not to sound backhanded, he's legitimately, like, has a case to be the best third receiver in the league.
Yeah, he's way overqualified third receiver.
Right, which is not, it's just what his role is on this team. And I understand why he would be upset with that role. But, like, you're not going to get paid $20 million a year if you're third or fourth on the team in targets. You're just not going to.
Right.
So he's in a tough spot, and I feel for him, and I understand why he wants more money. But
absolutely,
I just don't know what leverage he has, 2 weeks before the start of the regular season. Like, holding out, I don't see that as a viable option for him. Because he's not, like, the Niners are not, the Niners don't have to pay him, and then he's going to be hurt in the spring next year by holding out.
Right.
So,
can I tell you the first thing that jumped out to me?
Yeah.
They cut Braden Willis. No, I'm joking. 21 linemen, 10 on the offensive line, 11 on the defensive line. And again, I'm keeping this take open to change based on how things shake out here. Because that 10, depending on how, what players are available, what players resign, who goes on IR, etc., that 10 could very quickly become 8 right on the offensive line. That 11 could quickly become 9 on the defensive line. But right now, the initial roster looks very much like, instead of saying, hey, you know what, we don't know how many NFL offensive linemen we have, so we're just going to keep 8 and kind of roll with it. They went, we don't know how many we have, so we're just going to keep all of them and hope that Austin Pleasance or Spencer Burford shows out and is definitely the better swing tackle. We hope one of Drew Moss or Connor Colby is definitely capable of replacing Barch or Pooney at one of the guard spots. That's again, initial roster, but that's how it looks to me when you look at the offensive and defensive lines, because it's the starters of varying quality and then a bunch of I guess.
They have basically a backup for every position on the offensive line.
Including at some starting spots.
Right. They don't have a swing tackle. They have backups at left tackle and right tackle.
Yeah, exactly.
like they have backups at left guard and right guard. They have a backup center. They have 10 offensive linemen. There are 5 starters. They have 5 backups. I don't know what to make of it other than my initial thought is, like, maybe they think they can develop these guys. Maybe they think Drew Moss can develop into a starting guard, and they didn't want to risk losing him. Same with Austin Pleasance, with Colton McKivitz playing in a contract year, right? Like, maybe, Connor Colby, somebody who's gotten a lot of run with the starters, who might get significant playing time this year if one of the guards goes down, or if Dominic Pooney doesn't play week 1, although it kind of looks like he's trending towards playing. They have depth in numbers. I don't know that they have depth in quality, but they made some interesting decisions there, because it would seem like this is the most future looking position group to me. Mm-hmm. Just in terms of numbers. It's like, I don't know if Drew Moss is gonna move the needle at all for them this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they just might like him so much that we think he's gonna be a starting guard, or they have no faith in Ben Barch, and they're just maybe Drew Moss is gonna be a starter by November.
Sure.
Right. Or Connor Colby or whatever. You know what I mean? It just feels like with these backup offensive linemen, they're taking swings on youth towards developing. And that would be a pretty interesting development if any of these guys were to hit. I have no idea if they will. They might all be bad, and it might be complete waste of roster spots.
Right.
But it's their thinking, and Chris Forrester has a lot of sway in the building. He's one of the most influential offensive line coaches in the league in terms of how much sway they have when it comes to personnel within the NFL. You look at all the offensive line coaches who have sway on their head coach. Kyle Shanahan is a big Chris Forrester guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he gives Chris Forrester a lot of leeway when it comes to these offensive linemen and roster decisions and their development and all of those things. And it just feels like they're making these are bets. These are bets on Drew Moss. These are bets on Austin Pleasance. I don't know if they're going to be fruitful bets, but that's what jumps out to me about the offensive line.
Yeah, I would have thought the same thing about the defensive line, except they let go of Sebastian Valdez, who's a player who got a lot of burn in training camp reports and in the preseason. I kind of thought they would attack the defensive line the same way, like with what you're talking about with Drew Moss and Connor Colby to a lesser extent. Hey, maybe one of these guys starts. I said on the pod after the last preseason game, I thought it was really interesting that they put Connor Colby at right guard, knowing Dominic Pooney might be out week 1 when he's been playing left guard all of camp. And sure enough, they end up cutting Nick Zakel, who played left guard in that spot. So I thought they might do the same thing on the defensive line, where they say, hey, Kalia Davis, thanks, but we're going to keep this undrafted rookie and kind of bet on some upside here. And they wound up not doing that. And maybe if Alfred Collins gave a better showing, they might have done that. And Kalia Davis is more of a quote unquote sure thing. I'm not totally sure, but I do think that was the ethos on the offensive line here. When you look at the 11 players, is definitely more, all right, Evan Anderson, CJ West, Alfred Collins, just Jordan Elliott, Kalia Davis, just all kind of in the same bucket. Let's hope cream rises to the top.
Yeah, I think what was surprising is that Valdez was cut in favor of Evan Anderson. And maybe they're different players. Maybe sure. Evan Anderson is a guy maybe who can be more of a nose tackle, because they don't really have true nose tackle type guys, and maybe they think he can be that. Valdez is more not quite big enough to be a nose tackle. I know he's the Hulk and everything, but he's not a classic nose tackle like Evan Anderson might be. So that I was a little bit surprised by that. Yeturgos Matos making the team is an indication that suddenly he's either healthy enough to play soon, or he's an IR candidate that they think they'll get back at some point in the middle of the season.
Then why wouldn't they just
practicing at all?
Why wouldn't they keep him on PUP then?
Well, maybe he's going to play week 1.
I would assume so. That would be the only week 1 or 2. That would be the only reason to do that. But last we heard about Yeturgos Matos was that he had a setback with his knee.
Right.
So I have no idea. That was a very strange roster move that happened.
Mayoko wrote that he passed a physical recently. So I don't know. Well, we'll see. That it's Sam Okuwanu. I don't know. if they would have cut him, I don't know that anybody's really up in arms necessarily. Robert Beal Jr., maybe he showed enough on special teams in the preseason. Not somebody who has really ever shown the consistent ability to bother quarterbacks as a pass rusher off the edge. So yeah, it does feel like the depth is not awesome. But again, they have 11 defensive linemen, so maybe they just think the plan's just going to be we're going to try to maximize who we have by playing a lot of guys and keeping guys fresh, which I guess would make sense. Like if you only have a couple like really good players that you like there, maybe instead of playing like 2 or 3 or 4 mid-level guys, you're playing 6 or 7 other mid-level guys, and you're just rotating, and you say, all right, we're going to try to get production out by keeping guys fresh. Yeah. But yeah, I look at the defensive line, and it is absolutely, as of right now, it is absolutely not what you think of when you think of 49ers dominant defensive lines of recent years, with Eric Armstead and DeForest Buckner. Now, Mykel Williams returned to practice. CJ West returned to practice. So, those are 2 guys they're going to count on a lot. I don't know how productive Alfred Collins will be this season. I think he's more of somebody that you look at for 2026 potentially. But yeah, there's a lot on Nick Bosa's shoulders. It feels like Nick Bosa, Mykel Williams, and then a bunch of just like, we don't know who's good, but we're going to play a lot of guys because it's kind of what we have to do.
Yeah, it super feels that way. So that was the only other that like. Go look at linebacker. It's Warner, Martin, Winters, Gifford, and Bethune. It just doesn't. Nothing shocking there. I thought maybe Curtis Robinson would stick around, but again, he's a player that they can bring back to the practice squad, and I would imagine they do so.
Is there? Hold on, real quick.
Yeah.
Since we're talking linebackers, is there a rift in the Niners front office between assistant general manager Brant Boyer and John Lynch? Because these cuts would indicate to me you're cutting his punter.
Mm-hmm.
You cut Chaz Surratt, his guy. The only reason you signed Chaz Surratt in the offseason was because you thought he was going to be a special teams demon for you.
Yep.
Curtis Robinson seemed like a movable chess piece on teams. It just looks like to me that there's some real consternation between assistant GM Brant Boyer, special teams coach, and John Lynch. What say you?
First of all chess pieces are movable. Second of all, the clear thing to me is that this is John Lynch big dogging Brant Boyer. That's exactly what I see here, because not only does he cut his guy Chaz Surratt, but then keeps his own guy Tatum Bethune around, which is a big deal. One of his linebackers says, "No, this is my guy." I'm keeping him around. I think that's and then also John Lynch keeping Robert Saleh's guy Jason Pinnock on the roster, also former Jet, but he's going to play on defense. Going to play John Lynch's position. Just kind of giving him the who's who and the what's what. I think maybe Brant Boyer listens to the pod, got a little bit big for his britches, and John Lynch had to knock him down a peg.
John Lynch said, "Hey, Brant, we're making final cuts. Go sit in the corner." Brant was getting a little chesty during some roster meetings in the last few weeks.
Hey, you know what? Hey, Brant, I'm a little busy right now. Can you call Tom? Can you let him know that he's not going to play for this football team anymore? What are we going to do about punter? We'll have Moody do it. What if Kyle Shanahan was like, "Yeah, hey, we got to cut the kicker," and they did the wrong one?
Oof. Talk about organizational dysfunction.
Roster comes out and Kyle Shanahan's like, "What the fuck? What happened?"
Yeah. It does kind of feel like there's a very real scenario where Chaz Surratt and Curtis Robinson are both on the practice squad, and they just get like yo-yoed back and forth just for special teams and whatnot.
The Bubba Ventrones of
Exactly. 2025 Club of Introns.
Yeah.
Dallas Flowers, cornerback, was somewhat of a surprising cut given how much run he got with the starters in training camp and the preseason.
No, I'm glad you brought that up.
That one I don't, maybe Darrell Luter's just better on special teams than Flowers at this point, but I don't know. Like, if Darrell Luter has to get playing time, are you feeling great about that? I know he looked pretty good in the last preseason game, but
no, not at all. This is what I wanted to talk about next. They kept 6 corners. It's Diamador Lenore, good player. Renardo Green, good player. Upton Stout, rookie, looks like a good player. If Upton Stout can't play week 1, I don't know what they're going to do. It's probably Lenore to the slot and Luter outside, but to your point, you feel good about that? That Jackson Smith and Jigba are going to line up against Darrell Luter. You feel rock solid about that matchup? I don't.
That's the thing I always go back to when it comes to cornerback depth. It's the same reason why we talked about corner so heavily leading up to the draft. Is that sometimes when you have a weak third cornerback, teams will just put their best receiver over there. Like teams, and the Niners especially, the Niners do not just match up, okay, you're the third cornerback, you're going to cover their third receiver. No, like you play a side of the field. And then what smart coaches do offensively is say, oh, there's a bad cornerback on the field right now. I'm going to go put Justin Jefferson on that side of the field. And now you have Isaac Yiadom trying to cover Justin Jefferson, and he's going to cook Yiadom all game, like what happened last year, and the Niners are going to lose, right? So, like, that's when you look at, Darrell Luter potentially, like he's an injury away, and I'm kind of under the assumption that Upton Stout will play, although maybe it's Chase Lucas. I don't know. I think I was pretty surprised Chase Lucas made the team, to be honest.
Same.
But there's a scenario now where you lack depth at corner, and if Darrell Luter has to play, then it's like, yeah, JSN against Darrell Luter, you're taking JSN every time. Like, you just have to assume that you're going to get the other team's number one receiver. So, like, when they play the Rams, is it going to be Darrell Luter against Devontae Adams? Like, you feel good about that? Like,
no.
You feel good about, like, Jackson Smith and Jigba? Like, I know Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't have a great season. Maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. is like a massive bust, but I still think he's going to be really, really good.
That's a good player. I think that's a good player. He had almost 1,000 yards last year.
Right.
People are acting like he had 4 catches.
Puka Nacua, right? Like, there are a lot of really good receivers in the NFC West.
Yeah, there's
matching up with
Jackson Smith and Jigba and anonymous Seahawks wide receiver B. Is there
Cooper Kupp?
Oh, I guess okay, fine. Then anonymous Seahawks wide receiver C. Go look at their roster, see.
I'm just like, even I just worry about that spot specifically.
Sure.
If you can trot out Renardo Green, Diamador Lenore, and Upton Stout for 17 games this season as your top 3 corners, then you feel great.
Mm-hmm.
If Diamador Lenore has to kick inside, and then you're looking at Darrell Luter on the outside, I just haven't seen Darrell Luter do enough to this point to feel comfortable in that spot.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's I think it's the weakest spot on the roster, just from a depth standpoint.
Corner. Oh, just cornerback in general?
Corner in general, because even, I mean, Upton Stout is a rookie, man. He looked really good in camp, to be sure, but I don't, that doesn't always translate to games. And then Renardo Green, I'm bullish on him for sure, but are you ready to bet your house that Renardo Green is going to be a starting caliber NFL player?
I think Green could be really good.
I do too. To be very clear, and that's, it is more like I feel good about those 3. But you're talking injury. What if Upton Stout is like, hey, you know what? Sam Womack. Remember Sam Womack won the starting nickel job out of camp, and then by week 3 was on the bench.
Samuel.
I mean, it's just when I think about possible concerns there, it's like, man, I don't even know if it has to be injury related. If they get to a point where, Renardo Green didn't take the leap they thought he would, or Upton Stout did not translate to the regular season the way they thought he would, it's like they don't really have anywhere else to turn, and that's not a great spot to be in.
Sure, I feel good. I feel fine with those top three.
Sure,
you are projecting a little bit because Stout's a rookie and Green's in his second season, but I feel good about them overall long term. To me, the issue is the depth. Like if you lose one of those guys,
right,
it's not looking great for you. So that's, I don't know. We'll see. Saran Neal made it. Brant Boyer got out from the corner, took the dunce hat off, and
they tossed him a bone.
they tossed him a bone and gave him Saran Neal. Couldn't get a punter, but he got Saran Neal. Safety.
Siren Neal.
Siren Neal?
I'm going to look that up.
Yeah. Safety, Jair Brown, Richie Grant, Jason Pinnock, and Marquise Siegel. Siegel going to start? Feels kind of like the starter is going to be Pinnock and Siegel. And then I guess when it gets interesting is when Malik Mustafa comes back at some point midway through the season.
Saran. Like rap. Yeah. Yeah, it feels very much, if I'm the 49ers, I'm starting Marquise Siegel for a little bit with what you talked about with the offensive line. Is, man, Jair Brown to me is not demonstrably better than Marquise Siegel. Give the rookie a shot. You know what Jair Brown looked like last year, and he didn't look markedly better in camp this year. So go give your 5th round super athlete a shot to make a difference. And that's.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the way Siegel tackled in the preseason.
Me too.
He's not a big dude, but he was tackling like Jimmy Ward. Like,
yeah, getting downhill and sticking his nose in a lot.
Yeah. Jimmy Ward. That story is crazy.
Yeah,
if you haven't been up on the Jimmy Ward thing, Google Jimmy Ward. His name has been in the news.
Real estate on Jimmy Ward Island is in the toilet, dude.
My portfolio
We're fucked.
Has plummeted. I should have sold last year, maybe 2 years ago.
Golly.
Yikes. Yeah.
That was I first saw that and I was like, it must be a different Jimmy Ward.
Right.
Like, there's no way. It's like Texan safety. I'm like, well, they have 2 Jimmy Wards. That's weird.
Well,
yeah, man,
I mean, it's crazy. I hate to make light of it. It sounds like it's a very serious situation. So, hoping all the best for sure everybody over there. But that's just wild stuff.
Nuts.
But yeah, like the receiver position is going to be the one that gets the most attention over this next week and a half before the regular season starts. If there's a move for somebody that looks like they can play 50 snaps, that to me would be a signal that there's real worry that Jauan Jennings isn't going to be available for week 1.
Mm-hmm.
If not, then I think they just kind of roll it out there with Ricky Pearsall and Russell Gage and, the group that they have, and hope that George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey and, they could play bully ball and not have to, throw it 35 times. Like, it might just be a game where Brock Purdy's throwing it 22 times.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's their formula. I just don't know if their defense is good enough for them to win that way.
Yeah.
But that'll be that to me is kind of how it would have to go if Jennings is in play. But if Jennings in play, then I think I would be pretty optimistic about the 49ers offense.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That's a really, really good group. Assuming Jauan Jennings plays week 1 and is healthy and good to go. Especially because if Jordan Watkins only misses 1 week. He was starting to come on there in training camp. Then you get to Marcus Robinson back week 4, and all of a sudden your receiving core starts to look a little more complete. Off the rip, though, it looks very dire. It looks tough. Hey, can we talk about tight ends real quick?
You said Jordan Watkins in a week. Has there been reporting about Watkins' return? Because I thought it was...
Shanahan said that he was going to miss 4 weeks or about a month, and that was after their preseason opener on August 9th.
Okay.
So if he misses a month, he'd be back about week 2. Maybe he misses week 2 as well. But
man, what's funny is there's a world like in October, November, where Brandon Ayuk comes back, Jauan Jennings is healthy, Ricky Pearsall is playing well. Like, all of a sudden, you feel really good about the Niners receiving core. Like if they get all of their dudes healthy, including Brandon Ayuk and Jauan Jennings, and Ricky Pearsall lives up to the expectations that he's set with his training camp and preseason, all of a sudden you're like, damn, this might be a really good receiving core. And you have George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey.
Especially because in this world, and if I keep saying on the radio on my show on ESPN 1320, it feels like so many things have to go right for the Niners this year for them to be really good. They only need a few things to go right to go like 10-7 or 11-6 and make the playoffs. But if they're going to jump back and become Super Bowl contenders, I think, again, they need like everything to go perfect. And I think one of those things would be a scenario where when Ayuk comes back, McCaffrey and Kittle are both healthy. Jauan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall are both healthy and performing well, where Ayuk can come in and be a hyper-talented third receiver. No, because I honestly, I think if you're given the nature of the knee injury he had, where it was an ACL and an MCL and additional damage, if you're expecting him to come back in week 7 and just look like all-pro Brandon Ayuk, I think that's a joke. I don't think there's any chance of that. So I think that would put him in a position where they don't need to run him out there and like, hey, you need to be wide receiver 1 as you figure out how to play football on your reconstructed knee. It's, hey, you can play here and there. You can get 15, 20 snaps, get a couple of targets, and it allows him to ease his way back in, but in a role where, like, man, Brandon Ayuk's your third receiver, even at a let's say 85% of himself out the gate. That's a pretty good spot to be in.
I mean, if your third receiver is making $30 million a year, man.
Well, dude, he got hurt. Like, what do you?
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, he was good enough to get $30 million a year. If that's your third receiver, I know he'd be coming off an injury, but like that, you're in a good spot.
Be in a good spot for sure. Yeah, there's definitely a chance going into December. It's just like, oh man, Niners getting healthy. And if Michael Williams is good, if Upton Stout is good, Marquise Siegel is good, D. Winters is good, it's like, well, now you got the makings of something.
I think that's an element to it, though. Like, I don't think Kyle Shanahan, like, as much as he should, because, look, playoff races come down to, single games, right? Like, the difference between going to the playoffs and missing the playoffs could be going 9-8 and 10-7, right? Like one game obviously means a lot, which is why people often hyperfixate or are hyperfixating on week 1, because it's like the Niners aren't as good as they've been in the past on paper, lost a bunch of talent. But I think Kyle Shanahan is typically like, I don't really care what our record is in September. If we're trending in October and then we're really like putting our foot on the gas in November and December, then like that's where he wants to be. Which we've seen happen with this team. Like it's happened where when the Niners are good, which they've been under Kyle Shanahan for the last 6 years. When they're good, they're playing their best football in November and December. I would say their Super Bowl seasons 2019 and 2023, they're good throughout the whole year.
Right.
But I don't think anybody's expecting them to be good throughout the whole year. But some of their NFC Championship game runs started with just like, yeah, the Niners are just playing really good ball in November and December. And it might be that's kind of how Kyle Shanahan is looking at it. Like, all right, let's, it might be tough at first. We might lose some games, but our schedule is pretty favorable, particularly in the second half. And if our rookies can get their legs underneath them and start to play well in November and December, maybe that's when they make their push. When you get Brandon Ayuk back, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you get potentially Jacob Cowing back. I don't know how optimistic they are about Cowing overall, but like maybe that's the vision, is just like, let's keep ourselves in the race at the start of November, and then let's see if we can make a run.
Yeah. I think that's it. Albert Breer wrote about it in his column this week about how the Niners' philosophy here is going to play young guys, and they'll get better as they play, and then ideally by November, December, you have a team that really starts to kind of take shape. And I definitely think that possibility is on the table. Like, that outcome is 100% on the table. It's just that comes with the risk of relying on players that you don't know exactly what you're going to get in a regular season NFL game.
Yeah, totally fair. And I think the Niners bet too, and this isn't like groundbreaking, but like their bet is on Robert Saleh developing these guys.
Sure.
And putting these guys in position to where, like, if the Niners defense has a scheme advantage against their opponents, that's how you make up for a talent deficit, right? Like, the margins become a lot thinner when, even if you're at a talent deficit, which the 49ers might be against a lot of teams they play on defense. I mean, if Robert Saleh can scheme it up and put those guys in position, that might be their formula.
Sure.
So I think if there's in the world where the Niners win the NFC West in 2025, a big part of the story is like, man, Robert Saleh coached his ass off and was one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. Or Robert Saleh isn't good anymore. The Niners defense wasn't talented enough, and they ranked 21st.
The stink of the Jets came with Robert Saleh.
And Brock Purdy averaged 9 yards an attempt, but still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So.
Before we get out of here real quick, can we talk about tight ends?
Yes, I'm sorry. I know you wanted to talk about tight ends a while ago.
Only as a bit, though. I was going to say Travis Kelce getting married, huh? Am I right?
Sure.
It's all over the news today.
I know. Yeah, just like, I know Taylor Swift's musical choices, all of that. To pull the song that Leanne and I used from our wedding,
it's ridiculous.
The entrance to the reception, to pull that in her Instagram post, it's just kind of small time.
Yeah.
Just like, get your own swag. Like,
Bush
you don't
League
have
horse
to
shit,
take
dude.
ours.
Yeah.
Obviously Still High School was a song that is probably the best song anybody could ever pick when walking into your wedding reception. But so you're just gonna jack that from us because you're swagless, Taylor? Come on.
Yeah, like, I understand taking like elements of ideas, but like, make it your own. I don't know.
Right. You don't have to take away from our day just to boost yourself up, Taylor.
Yeah. Shout out to Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. They did it.
That was a bit, by the way. If anybody wasn't picking up on that,
can you imagine?
There's probably a very small percentage of listeners who like actually understood the joke that was just made.
But hey, did you realize he proposed on August 26th? Or they announced it on August 26th, and the prophecy was song 26?
She's going to do
Think
the halftime
about
show.
It.
She's going to do the halftime show at Levi's, right?
Yeah.
The whole sourdough, she's been thinking about sourdough 60% of the time.
Wait.
Like, that's
August 26, 826. 8 plus 2 is 10 times 6 is 60. What Super Bowl is it? 60.
Where'd the 10 come from?
8 plus 2. 826.
Okay.
8 plus 2.
Sure.
I know it's bad order of operations, so that 8 plus 2 is in parentheses.
Got it. Okay. Sorry. This is too much math for me right now.
No, you just don't get it.
I do think she's gonna I don't believe for a second that the 60% thing that she was talking about in the New Heights podcast wasn't about Super Bowl 60. So because that's typically announced in September. So any, the NFL is figuring out their Super Bowl halftime show all summer.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's gonna drop a super poppy album, there's no chance that it's not gonna play.
Yeah.
In terms of being a good Super Bowl halftime act.
Yeah. And she's got to follow up Kenny.
Right.
We got to balance it out with, some.
Taylor Swift at Levi's.
Hell yeah,
Big
man.
Thing. We gonna get in the building? Candy Cron gonna apply for credentials?
Yeah, we should. We'll do lots of video content while we're there.
I'll probably be there. Should we do Candy Cron from Radio Row?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. This is 1,000% a thing we should be doing. Why would we not do this?
Oh, you might have to do your show from Radio Row, your full-time job show.
To hell with that show. Next show for us, by the way, will be August 28th. We'll be breaking down the release of the 49ers' new uniform.
Oh, is that August 28th?
Yeah.
I had completely forgotten.
Beating people over the head with it.
Somebody should make a social post about the release date. Maybe we do a live YouTube video reaction to the 49ers uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a YouTube only type situation. I don't know if a uniform reveal works as well on a podcast feed. So if you want to hear our take on the Niners uniform, the new alternate uniform, check out our YouTube channel at Candlestick Chronicles Podcast.
I can't believe there's not been a leak yet.
Yeah.
Usually there's always some photo of some weird backroom warehouse where they've already gotten the jerseys in.
I feel like they're either going to be some form of black uniforms or maybe some cream colored uniforms.
I'm going black with the heritage cream numbers with the map stuff on the numbers.
That sounds terrible.
It sounds so bad. I've made up so many. Here's the thing is I'm probably going to wind up liking them at least a little bit because I've made up so many awful uniforms in my head.
Yeah.
I've set the bar under the floor.
Yeah, I'm just ready for them to be terrible. I wear a lot of black. My closet is just a lot of black T-shirts and things.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean black football uniforms work if your colors are red and gold.
I agree.
So
they've tried it once. I hope they don't go back to that well.
Kind of worried.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. All right.
That's all I got.
Subscribe, rate, and review.
Yep.
Thomas Morstead probably going to be back with the team by the time you listen to this podcast.
If he's not, I'm going to feel so foolish. I'm going to feel like an idiot if they're like, oh yeah, Mitch Wishnowski's back is all better, so we signed him instead.
That would be really funny.
That would be John Lynch big dogging Brant Boyer. He's like, nah, bring me back my draft pick. You let Tom work out all offseason, then go, see ya!
Brant,
Boy, Mitch.
Go watch some tape, bro. We're gonna go sign Mitch.
Boy, Mitch.
Get back.
You been kicking in the backyard?
One name we haven't talked about, maybe this can be its own episode down the road. Jake Moody made the team.
Boy, did he.
Anyway. All right. We'll talk to you guys later.